All right, you guys, thanks for calling in for our Login and Learn webinar. Tonight we are talking about connecting both online and offline. I have a few recordings out there on the Start Your Life University. It's out there, with Isagenix on our YouTube channel, Dreamers in Action, and also on the Podbean, Dreamers in Action. And so this one specifically, I wanted to be available just for live Q&A. I think a lot of times people struggle with that initial connection, or how often to follow up, or when to follow up, or what are you saying during the follow up, or how do you grab your Lyft driver, how do you, what do you say to someone, what's your elevator pitch, or whatever that may be. So I really just want to be available to you. And if I feel like you need a little bit of guidance of where this is going, I can say, who wants more ideas on the cold market, or who wants more ideas on what to do with, following up with people from that initial connection to enrollment, or whatever it may be. But I'd really love to just be available for you at all levels of building. So for our brand new dreamers who are working in their warm market, or our experienced, multiple six-figure dreamers who are still trying to, perfect the skill or whatever, myself included, let's just do a Q&A and see where people are at and how we can help you. So that being said, I'm ready.
Okay, Lauren. Hey, it's Wesley.
Hello. Thank you for asking first.
Yeah, of course. So Eric and I were wondering if you could give us some tips on how to deal with being ghosted, or when people put themselves into their own witness protection system, as we call it.
Okay, so what I think that Wesley and Eric are alluding to, just for everybody else, is maybe you've talked to them and then they go crickets. Like, they won't even just say no, they're not texting you back, they're not calling you back, they just have totally isolated you. Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah, exactly. So, just an example, we had a girl who was all hands on deck. She was so ready to go. We did a 3-way call with her. She was so, so excited. She said, okay, great, I get paid on Friday. And that was 2 days away. And that was like 2 months ago. And we have not been able to get in touch with her at all.
And what are the conversations, if any, that you've had with her between that and now?
Nothing. She won't respond to anything we say now.
But what are you saying to her?
Oh, like, hi, how are you? How's work? Or a few days later, I don't know. What have you said, Eric?
Asking outright. I know you were serious because of your goals that you told us about. We've reached out during free enrollment periods in case it was a cost issue, because that's what it originally kind of was. But nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it happens to all of us, so it's nothing you're doing, number one. The other thing that I would share with you is the 4 Agreements. If you've never read that, that was like one of my favorite books when I first got started. And to this day, those 4 Agreements is really what I rely on whenever I get into a sticky situation. But one of them is to never take anything personally. And so you just kind of have to know that. And hold on, I got to mute somebody. So part of that is just like really being detached from the outcome and letting go that it's something you're doing or not doing. And usually people struggle with the truth for themselves, in that they don't want to tell you that. So either they're too embarrassed to tell you they can't afford it, they're nervous about being able to do the program, right? And so they don't want to admit that. And so they just kind of avoid you. But a lot of people really, really struggle with confrontation, or they worry what people think about them, or they worry they're going to let you down, that it's just easier to like avoid the whole situation. So one of the things that I've done, similar to what Eric said, is if you're getting the runaround from people, like they're interested, but then they miss calls, they're interested, they don't ever enroll, is what he said. We're like, hey, I just want to know, are you serious or not? Like, I keep making myself available. Is this really something you want to do? But when people are ghosting you because they're shutting down, I am really trying to, do that feel, felt, found thing and relate to them, or I just ignore it and I build the relationship outside of Isagenix, right? Just to know that I do care about them and that's not all I'm doing, right? So sometimes if they're local, and like we're all going to get together or something, and I'm like, hey, we're doing Sunday Fun Day at recess, like you should come out with us. Or, I'll comment about their Facebook picture or something with their kids outside of that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks like you had a blast last weekend. Like, I love your pictures. Like, I just am still trying to stay in touch with them. I think that it's great, like you're doing with promotional weeks. But if you go back and you look at a thread or a text message and from enrollment over the last 2 months, if everything for the most part has to do with this, that person's going to start to feel like a sale. And so where I am doing those things, I would just encourage you to have more conversations outside of that. So another thing, at one point you could have just said like, hey, we know that you were waiting for payday, and it's totally fine if this is not for you, or it's totally fine if you're not ready yet, but I want to make myself available for you. I don't want you to feel pressured, like we're going to be friends regardless, or we can stay in touch regardless, you know, just let me know so I can best support you, and just like in a really empathetic way. And that's that feel felt found too, or just say, hey, you know, I'm not sure why we haven't heard back from you, but I was so nervous to start in the beginning, and you know, I want to remind you of the 100% money back guarantee, or there's other ways I think we can love on them and share on them. But if they're totally ghosting you, I wouldn't even bring up Isagenix. And I would just try to build a relationship with them with other things, either inviting them to things locally or just celebrating them, edifying them and loving on them. Because if and when they're ever ready, you still want you to be the one that thought about them, because you are more in their life than, hey, there's free enrollment this week. Hey, there's a seasonal shake this week. Hey, I'm going to give you my pips back this week, or whatever type of conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's, I mean, I just took a whole page of notes. That's awesome.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So, Carol, I saw that you just joined us. We're kind of just doing a live Q&A. And if Wesley, you have another question, you're ready, you can dive in with another one, or Kristen, Laura, Rach, if you guys have something. But we're just going to try and give you guys as many answers of either sound bites or, you know, scripts to say, one-liners, or how to handle different situations. I want to get a button that plays the Jeopardy theme song, so that these awkward moments, it could be like, na, 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 na. Carol, you're brand new. Is there any question you have of how you're reaching out to people on Facebook, maybe what you say to a friend or family on the phone, what you would... Yep. Got you. I could read her lips.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I've been spending a lot of time just kind of getting to know people in a different way. I feel like if I'm not comfortable yet with asking certain people, but I'm letting them know what I'm doing. I have one person that's going to join in August after she gets back from a Mediterranean trip. But I've had a lot of people say that they've already been approached by other people involved in Isagenix, and I'm not sure I know. And so I don't know what their first experience was. So I don't know how to handle those concerns very well, I guess. So do you have any, because I think some of the people that I've talked to had real salesy people, kind of pushy people that were involved with Isagenix, talked to them about it before.
Yeah.
And I'm not a pushy person because I don't like people pushing on me. So I'm just trying to create some curiosity.
Yeah.
Like I've heard other people say, but I don't know how to get beyond that. Well, I've heard of that, or yeah, so-and-so talked to me about that, and it's really just not for me. So I don't know how to handle those concerns because I'm not the one that created the first
so
initial
I'm gonna
contact.
hop in here for a second. So I am gonna go back and address your connecting question. And then there is a call from Chris Harder about overcoming objections that maybe, Laura, you can tag Carol in, or I'll do it after the call, Carol. But I'd love for you to listen to that. It's about 30 minutes and it's gold. I probably listened to that 10 times when I first got started. So overcoming objections is a totally different training, which is not the focus of tonight. So I'm not going to go a ton into that, but I'd love for you to listen to that call. But back to the connecting thing, the two things that I could tell you that are the best tips of advice that have nothing to do with the how or the what, you know, but just your approach is number one. My friend Tracy O'Malley says, anything done with love, you can't go wrong, right? Like if you're really just caring about people and you're really just pouring into them and you really just want them to have this experience, whether it be physically or financially, when you come from your heart and you get out of your head, like you can't go wrong, you know? And I think that that's where we get so caught up in our head and what are they going to think and what am I saying and is it good enough or blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, like when Eric Worre says, if you had the cure for cancer, you know, you could tell 100 people. I mean, you thought you had the best thing. In my heart, because Isagenix has changed my life so much, my family's life so much, my friends' life so much, my friends' family's life, right? Like I do feel like we've got a cure for cancer, you know, when we are not like literally, but like we are, you know, changing lives physically, we're changing lives financially, we're changing lives emotionally. Like people want to be a part of this culture that no matter what, like I want people to have this, and I am as bold about it as if I had just had the cure for cancer because I really care about them and I want them to have the same experience. The other that I would say is your whole thing is to be inspirational, not informational, and then relate to them, you know? So when you're talking to someone and they're like, oh yeah, someone's tried to tell me about that before, sometimes I ask, I'll just say, oh my gosh, I love it so much. What happened? Like, why did you get turned off from it? Because my experience has been so different, right? And it has. I mean, look at, Laura enrolled you, right? Laura, did you enroll Carol? Yeah, that's what I thought. You know, like, I mean, Laura's so loving and she's so fun and she got you excited, but she didn't push anything on you, right? And even just be able to share that story and be like, well, that's not how I felt when I got started, or that's not been my experience, you know, and relate to that person. And I think when you're reaching out to people or you're talking to people, you know, whether it be your friends or your family, people suffer in silence, you know, like people carry around so much pain inside and they're constantly bitching about it. You know, people are complaining about being tired. They're complaining about being overweight. They're complaining about not having energy. They're complaining about being broke. That we just have to be able to say, hey, you know, I was introduced to something that has totally changed my financial blueprint, or I've been introduced to something that my family isn't worried about paycheck to paycheck anymore, or I was introduced to something that I have more energy than I ever thought. You know, I don't crash in the afternoon. And it's like, you know, if I were to show you about it or tell you about it, is that something you want to know more about? And if they don't, that's okay, right? But more often than not, someone goes, you can help me have more energy? Like, you can show me how to get out of debt? Like, people get excited quite often, but it's really just coming from your heart and not feeling like you have to be a master, but knowing where the tools are or how to get a three-way call or a three-way message set up with someone who's a little bit more experienced so that we can get them the right information. But your job is just to excite them, and your job is just to kind of come from love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I help you at all? Like maybe you could talk to somebody?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's being new. Sometimes if you take too long to answer a question, or if you take too long to think about it, there's that awkwardness, and then you just want to just get it over with, you know. So I'm blaming it on being new. I'm kind of awkward still about it. I feel a little bit better than I did a month ago. So, but I don't feel like
the awkwardness is
getting
always
anywhere.
going to be there. You know, like you are new, and kudos to you for even, you know, being proactive and learning all this stuff. The awkwardness is kind of always going to be there. It's just your belief changes. Like as you get people started and they're going, oh my gosh, Carol, like I'm sleeping so much better. Oh my gosh, Carol, like I'm fitting into old jeans, or, you know, as those people give you compliments and give you credit for introducing them to this, your confidence is going to skyrocket, that then you're going to want to talk to more people, if that makes sense. But it's always a little awkward. It's always a little like, what are they going to think, you know?
Yeah.
So I went this weekend out a couple times, and I was on Friday night, we were going out, and I literally got in the car without any intentions to talk about Isagenix, right? I've been to these networking events the last few weeks. I've had a lot of conversations. I've had a lot of prospects right now, a lot of people in the pipeline. Like, I wasn't getting in this car to talk about Isagenix, right? But we sat in the car, and right away I was like, I'm going to have to talk Isagenix right now. Not only because of the girl was like super entrepreneurial and driven that I was like, we might only ever meet this girl once, but also because I have a girl in my team who was with me, who's pretty new, who's always like, what do you say to people? And I was like, she's got to watch this. I'm going to have to talk Isagenix, you know? So we're driving, and I asked her, you know, I said, well, how long have you been driving for Lyft? And she's like, oh, a few months. And I said, why are you doing it? Like, what do you like about it? She's like, oh, I just like the flexible schedule. I like that I have freedom. You know, I like to have supplemental income. You know, she was like, I have a dog walking business, but that income's not as consistent. She was like, so I use this and I can do it as little or more as I want in order to make more money. And I said, so if I'm hearing you, the reason you like Lyft is not really because you like driving your car all around Denver, but it's because it's flexible, because there's freedom hours, because you can kind of determine the salary you're looking for. She's like, yes. And so I said, if there was a way that you could have the same flexible schedule and be able to determine the income that you're looking for, but not have to be able to do this, is that something you'd want to know more about? And she's like, well, yeah, what is it? And so we partnered with a leading health and wellness company, and we change lives physically and financially, and you can make hobby money all the way up to a 7-figure income. It's totally up to you. And she was like, oh my gosh, that sounds great. We were getting out of the car, and I said, well, give me your name and number. I'll call you this week, right? So I had added her to testimonials. I'd added her opportunity. Now we have our one-to-one coffee appointment set up. We'll give her like a real presentation. But it was like literally just connecting and asking a question. So I was with the same girl on Saturday. This was Friday night, right? And we're getting ready to go out. And I look at her, and I'm like giving her the look like, and she's all like panicked that I'm going to make her do it. And I was like, you watched me do it Friday. Like, here we go. You know what I mean? And she's like looking at me, and she's like, what am I going to say? You know? And so I'm like kind of like texting her, like under like coaching her in the Lyft, you know? So I say, why are you driving for Lyft? How long have you been doing this? What do you like about it? Right? And she starts answering the questions. And it was the same type of situation, you know, like she just started saying, you know, that she's looking for extra income, blah, 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 blah. And so then she asked the same question, and come to find out, because it was a little bit longer of a car ride, both of her kids were recently laid off. They're looking for jobs. You know, we just started to talk a little bit more about what this company does, but it really is just asking those questions. But I think that sometimes it's great when you can do that in a stranger situation, like a Lyft driver, an Uber driver, or someone, because you're like, it doesn't really matter. I'm never going to see them again, because then it's more natural when it is the people you're comfortable with, you know. But I think our friends and family, like the majority of the population is paycheck to paycheck. 74% of people say the primary stress in their life is finances. And we have a solution for that, you know, but we have to be willing to say, hey, I don't know what your situation's like, but this is what my situation was like. And I didn't tell people, you know, I had too much pride to tell people I was suffering. And I was like, but now that my life is so much different, I think if someone didn't tell me about this, I'd still be there. That I have an obligation to tell people about this, because I don't want anybody to feel that way, you know? And a lot of people do that with their weight loss or their energy or something. And it's like, man, I felt like I was out chasing a bad diet, or I felt like I could never recover from my workouts. And I'm calling you because if my friend hadn't called me, if my sister hadn't called me, if my mom hadn't, whatever it is, you know, I would still be feeling that way. And I literally have a calling on my heart to tell as many people as I can, because I want people to be free of physical and financial pain, you know? But it's like coming from here and not from up here. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. So Kristen's question in the chat, she basically was saying she's still just nervous, like reaching out to people. Like, it's one thing if they're coming to her and she's like very confident about the products and this and that, but for her to actually reach out to people, her friends and family, and be the one having the conversation. And I will reiterate what I said to Carol. To some extent, it's always going to be awkward, because as much as we say be unattached to the outcome, we are, because inevitably we are taking it personally. Somewhere our body, our heart, our mind, if someone says no, we feel like they're saying no to us, which is not at all what's happening, but we internalize that. We think that, like, oh, like, what I do wrong, or if I love it so much, why wouldn't they love it, you know? And that's where I'm going to use this over and over and over, you guys, but that's that Indian food analogy, that Rachel loves Indian food and I can't stand it. And I live by where Rachel used to work, my sister, and if she had had a break in between patients and said, hey, can you meet me for lunch? I'd be like, yes, where are we going? And she's like, let's go to Bombay Grill. I'd be like, ew, no, I'm going to see you this weekend. Like, it has nothing to do with Rachel. It has nothing to do with me wanting to spend time with her, right? I don't want to eat it. And sometimes this is just not for everybody. Not everybody cares about being healthy. Not everybody wants to drink a shake. Not everybody, cares about their health, and that's okay. But the same way, Kristen, if you invited a friend and you were like, hey, do you want to go run 6 miles with me on Saturday? There's a lot of people out there that make, oh yeah, I'd love to. Where are we eating? But there's a lot of other people that are going to be like, no, I really don't want to run on Saturday morning. And it's not going to affect you. You're still going to go. You're still going to go for a run. It's something you love. With or without them joining you, you're going to go. And that's like, I invite people to Cycle Bar all the time. I'm totally obsessed with it, right? Do you know how many people, I'm like, meet me at Cycle Bar? And they're like, ew, I hate spinning. I'm not, that's not a good workout. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fine, I'll go work out without you, right? I could care less. Like, I love it. I invite people to do it. Like, I get some people to shop at Lululemon. I think it's the best workout clothes ever. And then you have other people that no matter what, they're never spending $80 on yoga pants. Never. They're like, you're nuts. Like, I would rather buy 3 pairs, you know what I mean, for $20 each that fall apart in 3 months than your 1 pair. Like, it's a part of it's just separating from that, because we do think it's something personal. But the other part is because there's money. There's the guilt of if you're selling something, and you have to remind yourself that your friends are not paying you. They're not buying anything from you. Isagenix is paying you. Isagenix has chosen a business model that's word of mouth instead of having a retail storefront with employees, with marketing, with advertising. So if there was an Isagenix store, like there's a GNC store, and someone was buying something, Isagenix would be making a profit, and just like any other retail, right? They're doing that, but instead of them having to pay for storefront, electricity, billing, payroll, employees, whatever, they pay us because they know word of mouth is the best way to share something. And so the same way that you can recommend an amazing pair of shoes, I'm sure you've sent people to Runners Club or Running Company and been like, oh my gosh, these are the best trail running shoes, or these are going to, and they've never given you a kickback, but I'm sure you've done it, or I'm sure when you're talking to other moms and you have found a healthier kids juice that's less sugar, or a goldfish like cracker that doesn't have high fructose corn syrup in it, and you being like, oh my gosh, these are great. Like, this is what I give my kids and they love them, but they're healthier. Like, you're doing that all the time. Isagenix is the same thing. And yes, we can make money from it, but who cares? I mean, they're not paying you. Do you know what I mean? Isagenix is, and remembering that. But the other is, and this is the thing that really helped me be able to reach out to people more often and separate from the income, is that, I just lost my train of thought, is the service that's associated with it. So if you're going to sign someone up and give them their brown box and never friggin' talk to them again and not help them and not coach them and not support them, you're right. You should feel really guilty about enrolling them. But if you're going to mentor them, if you're going to cleanse coach them, if you're going to plug them into this team, if you're going to be available, then you should be making money. The same way you don't personal train for free. Why are you going to do this for free? I mean, your time is really valuable. And if I think about the amount of hours I poured into people, from, can I have hydrate on a cleanse day? I just got a headache. I've got diarrhea. I just threw up. I'm bloated. I feel really good. I'm skinny. What do I tell my friend? How do I say this on Facebook? How do I have a launch party? Like, all of that adds up. Like, it's worth your time. And I didn't give nutrition therapy away for free. I didn't have people come in my office and like coach them for 90 minutes and to give them a meal plan and be like, there's a donation jar on the side if you want to, help me buy groceries this week. Like, it's a service. You would feel weird if your massage therapist didn't charge you, if you didn't get charged by your pedicure place. And it's the same thing. And so, as long as you're going to provide really good service, you should be getting paid from somebody. And I think that a lot of us forget that. So when I was reaching out to people and you're like, I'm still nervous, the idea of, you have this Willy Wonka golden ticket. I mean, you've got to get in that headspace. Like, Kristen, I would say to you, what was your life like before Isagenix? And I'm going to talk to you from the business because I know you're in it for the business, right? I was in it for the business. Yes, it's great that we love the products. We both are more in it for the business, And what was your life before? How many nights were you sleepless or stressed because you were wondering if you're going to have to borrow money, if you were worrying if a check was going to clear before a deposit went in? It was like, oh my gosh, I had 2 clients cancel yesterday. I don't know now how I'm going to pay for this. The kids want to do these sports. We don't have that money. I mean, think about what Isagenix has done to take you out of that. I'm not saying you're a millionaire, but you have substantial supplemental income in 2 years, right? Of what that's done for you and your family. You know what that's going to do. Why in the world would you not be telling other people about that? I mean, imagine if you didn't have this. And getting into that space, you know, thinking of Alex's story, thinking of my story, thinking about these people's stories, and that's what you come from, you know? I mean, catch up a little bit, but Eric Worre's line that I use, because you don't have hours and hours to talk on the phone with everybody, is to compliment them and literally state the purpose of your call. So when I was recruiting really fast, I was going through everybody on my phone. I would be like, hey, how are you? This and that. And I would just say, hey, I've got to tell you, I think you're amazing. Like, I know you're into health and fitness. I know you love people. I know that you love to, make an impact. And I say, but the reason I'm calling is because I was introduced to this company 3 months ago that's transformed my life. Like, I am a totally different person. I'm sleeping better. I have more energy. My bank account looks different. And every single day I'm so grateful that, God dropped this in my life, that I have a calling on my heart to tell other people. Whether or not this is for you, I know I had to tell you. If it's not for you, no big deal. But I worry if I'm not telling enough people. Like, you know what I mean? And coming from that place, that's literally what I would say. And sometimes more on the products and sometimes more on the business. So Conchetta on our team, she was a client of mine years ago at the YMCA, and I had watched her yo-yo with everything, literally gaining and losing like 50 to 60 pounds all the time, with Weight Watchers, with Jenny Craig, with this stuff. And when I learned about Isagenix and I was watching the physical transformations and people keeping it off, she was someone I thought about, right? I called her on Christmas Day, you guys. This, hands down, was like still one of the hardest calls I've ever made. But what I was thinking is the products were going to have to ship on the 26th in order for them to come around the holidays for her to start with us on this New Year, New You cleanse, right? That's what I was thinking. And I was like, I haven't talked to this woman in a year. Like, how in the heck am I supposed to sell her a President's Pack on Christmas, right? Like, that's where I was coming from. But then I was thinking, like, what if 2014 is the year she breaks through all this plateau stuff and has Isagenix as a lifestyle and never has to do that again, right? And I called her. And I will never forget this. I was like, hey, Conchetta, how are you? Merry Christmas. And she's like, Merry Christmas. Like, are you calling everybody on Christmas? Like, she's kind of teasing me. And I said to her, I said, no. I said, but in all honesty, I said, I thought about you. You guys, this is a true story. You can ask her. And I just said, I know you're not on Facebook. She wasn't. I said, you have no idea how different my life is. And I said, I still have a huge passion for health and wellness, but I'm looking at a lot of people dive into this nutritional program, and it's taking them off the yo-yo diet. It's getting them lasting results. And I thought about you. I've seen you do all kinds of things, and I'm getting ready to launch this New Year, New You cleanse, and I wanted you to be a part of it. And I literally was like, if I don't get your products ordered by tomorrow, they're going to come late, and I don't want you to have a late start. And I know it's Christmas morning, but I was like literally thinking, like, she's someone that deserves this. And if you ask her how different her life is on the physical side because of Isagenix and what that has done for her, she will tell people of all the decades in her life, that was the best Christmas call she ever had. And it's like, I mean, I was so nervous. Like, who does that? Like, I'm an a-hole to call someone on Christmas and try and sell them a pack, right? But she's grateful, So I think that when you're reaching out to people, remembering, what Isagenix has done for you and what it was like before. Like, I have that list, like a piece of paper, like what I want to call my chicken list. I have bulleted out all of my points of pain. What if the Cougars hadn't come out of Isagenix? What would my life look like? And then all of the things that it's done for me, my friendships, the travel experiences, I'm debt-free, my income, my whatever that may be. And I come from that place and I go, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. And all I am is a messenger. All I am is a messenger of this amazing health and wellness company. They want to be the largest health and wellness company in the world. And I have an obligation because of what the Cougars have done for me to open this up for other people. And all I'm doing is sharing stories. I'm just sharing an opportunity. I'm just sharing solutions. If they don't want it, next. But the amount of people that are like, I can't believe you called me. And it's crazy because people will say, I've been thinking about you. I've been watching you on Facebook, but I didn't know what to say to you. Like when you finally do it, or they'll be like, no, I had no idea what you're doing, but I'm so glad you called. My husband just got diagnosed with high cholesterol. He's been looking for something. Like, people tell you these crazy stories, like as soon as you pick up the phone, like, I can't believe you just called me. Like, my paycheck, I just got like, half my hours taken away. We are looking for extra income or whatever it may be. So I just think it's really important to remember what it's done for you. And then that's what you're sharing forward. And it's not about a sell. It's not about a pivot. like you have the opportunity to really transform a life. Okay. Hi, Amanda. Any others, you guys? I know we're just, some things are coming out naturally as you guys trigger me with questions. But Amanda, we're just doing a live Q&A of kind of, you know, what are we doing through the follow-ups? You know, maybe what do we say in our cold market, our warm market, or whatever. So I know in Marla too, I know you kind of hopped on a little bit late, but if you guys have questions, it's just open Q&A. I'm not following any outline or script tonight.
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm echoing. I apologize. But so maybe more for the new people, and I can listen to this over and over and over and over again. It just builds my confidence and my faith and my verbiage. But maybe more for the newer people, when they do reach out or they do make a contact or someone does ask them, hey, what is that, or what are you doing? What do you feel like are the easiest, simplest ways for them to share without being weird or awkward or verbally vomiting on people? Like, what are one or two, maybe three things you would say for them to do?
In person or online?
Either way. So maybe it's a PM, or maybe, you know, somebody's eating a protein bar or drinking a shake and somebody says, hey, what's that? You know, what are some tips you could give for how to kind of take that to the next step?
Yeah, so I think that, excuse me, I'm not tired. I don't know why I'm yawning. I think that in person, the best thing that people can master is like one or two golden nuggets or like their brief 30-second story or something on the product, and then immediately talk about how you're going to plug into a three-way call, or you're going to plug into a group or whatever, and relinquish that expectation that you're the expert, you know, but you're just sharing your story, right? So if I had someone that was brand new and they were like, oh my gosh, like, what are those shakes? What are you doing? I try and coach them to be like, oh my gosh, it's this amazing 30-day reset that I'm doing or something, you know? And they're like, what is it? And they say, oh my gosh, I'd love to tell you more about it. You know, I can add you to our Facebook group, or, you know, I'm going to put you in a text with the girl that got me started. I'm brand new, so I'm still learning. And I was like, but you're going to love it. It's amazing. And just really kind of end on that inspiration thing, but going into where it's going to go. In Facebook, that's easy because they're already online. So when someone says, hey, like, can you tell me more about that? Or what's that transformation? Or what was it that you're drinking? I immediately just teach them, not even to respond, just to start a group message, like right at that point. So if I got you started last week, Laura, and you know, and someone asked you like, oh my gosh, what's that bar? Or what is it? Or tell me more about that on Facebook, I would tell you to start an immediate thread with the three of us, just saying, I'm so glad you asked about the bar. It's a part of this nutritional reset that I'm doing, or this nutritional rebalancing program. And say, in case I can't answer your questions, I've got my friend who got me started in this message so that we can get you the best information possible. And immediately into a group thing, in a way of service, in a way of love, you know? That way that person's not only learning and watching, but someone else who's a little bit more experienced and kind of guide the way that it goes, make sure it's compliant, keep the conversation going, things like that. And then also to add to testimonials. So not only to do the thread, but to immediately add to our testimonials page. So saying, I'm so glad you reached out. In case there's something I can't answer, I've got my friend that got me started here as well. So I'm also going to add you to our amazing Facebook group. There's so much information in there and success stories. That way you can kind of look around and see if this is something for you. And then it's like done and done, and they can kind of step back. And then the sponsor knows that that's happened. So they can say, hey, did you follow up? What did she say? Did she want to try anything? Or those types of things. And in person, I think that so many people feel like they have to be the expert and they want to talk about it being organic and undenatured and tested and blah, blah, blah. That you're just like, oh my gosh, it's this nutritional program I'm doing. I feel absolutely amazing. And then when people start to ask questions, just saying, hey, I'm going to send you some stuff later. Like, you know, I'm in a hurry right now. I'm trying to get out of the conversation. Hey, I've got a meeting. I've got to get on this call real fast. Or, you know, I'm late to get the kids. Or, you know, try to get out of the conversation and say, but hey, give me your number. I'll send you some stuff later. Or, you know, what's your number? I'll text you. I'll call you. Or I'm going to send you some stuff through Facebook later. Like letting them know that you're not forgetting about them, but like be excited, something inspirational, and then get out of it like as fast as possible.
Could you explain why?
I think that I'm trying to figure out where that's coming from. Rachel's texting and I can hear it coming through. Somebody's texting Wesley. I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm like, I can hear like the clicky. Okay, so I think the main thing is because when people are brand new, number one, a lot of times their belief is not very high, and people can feel that, and so they want to be their guinea pig. They're like, what? But more than that is, I think when you're new, you know a little bit about a lot of things, which makes it seem like you don't know a lot of anything, and it can be really disorganized. When we talk about this verbal vomit, you're in this place of almost convincing someone to do it instead of really listening and being a master at asking questions and finding out why they're interested in what they're looking for and then providing a solution. And I think in the beginning, people will out-talk themselves out of a sale, out-talk themselves out of it because they're focused on just literally trying to convince this person to do it, or they're so excited about it. They're not even paying attention to why that person first asked about it, or if it's even something they're doing. And sometimes people are asking, like they might even just be curious, but they're not even interested in it yet. Like, what is that? Like, where do you get it? Like, oh, cool. Like, they might be doing Apicare. They might be doing Shakeology, like they might, whatever it may be, and be doing what we do. They might be trying to flick the script. Like, hey, how long have you been doing that? Is it working for you? You don't really know that. I think to be able to just step back and plug someone in to observe that you're not out talking yourself of anything, you're not convincing them of anything, but you're really getting to know them and ask the right questions. It's going to be an equal playing field, and in a way that someone's guard is down, that they're open to it and they're not like being bombarded. And Rach or Kristen, Laura, you guys are experts too. If you have ideas or thoughts on this, you've coached a lot of people, you're all executives, like definitely feel free to chime in and add some feedback or thoughts on this.
I think your feedback is awesome on that, to not, in the beginning when people would ask me, like, what am I drinking? Before I know it, I'm telling them about a 30-day cleanse and how to cleanse and an hourly schedule. And it wasn't what they were even asking in the first place. So, I would talk them out of wanting to talk to me about it ever again. So I think that's awesome advice. And to just be able to say, oh my gosh, it's an amazing shake. I'd love to send you some information if you want to know more.
Yes.
And just kind of start there versus, 23 trace minerals and blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so Marla wrote on here, you talked about talking to people in the car on a Lyft, Uber, and say it's a longer ride. Oh, so that's awesome. Marla's asking basically, what do I do? So I either do one of two things. I either, bring it up in the beginning and then get out of it. Like, I'm like, hey, I was like, I've got to get some emails answered. I've got to get some things done before you drop me off. I'm so sorry, I can't talk to you more right now, but I will follow up with you. So that happens to me a lot in the airport. People are like, where are you going? Is it business? Is it pleasure? Like, they say, oh, it's both. I love what I do. And they say, what do you do? Like, once I kind of get that information, then I usually am like, hey, I don't mean to be rude, but I was like, I don't have the time to go into everything right now. And I've got to respond to some emails. I've got to send some texts out before I get on the plane. I was like, which is why I'm not driving right now. I was like, but I promise I'll send you some stuff as soon as I land or whatever. So I actually do try and get out of it, Marla. And the reason is because even though I feel like sometimes I can, sorry, I gotta mute people as they're calling in. So even though sometimes I feel like I could maybe close them at the time, or I could, like really go into it a lot more. And granted, trust your intuition. If you're really vibing with them, roll with it. But for the most part, the reason I don't is because it's not duplicative. And what I've learned is that even though I was doing that, other people weren't, and then we want this to be duplicative. So when I create curiosity, I send a video, I set up a 3-way call, even though it might be a longer process. Once that person's in my business and I'm trying to get them to consultant, I'm trying to build them up as a leader, they can do that, right? Because that's what happened to them. They don't feel like they have to be the expert. If I show up everywhere as the expert, they don't do anything when they get enrolled because they feel like they have to be me. You know what I mean? And so like where I used to sit down on a plane, I was like, all right, one of you is getting enrolled. You know what I mean? Sometimes I will, because it is 2, 3, 4 hours next to someone, and you can use the ISA Sales Tools app to play a video, or if you carry the catalog or can give out a sample or have enrollment forms. I mean, it is like you have the ability to connect and do a presentation at the same time. So sometimes, I want to use my intuition. I'm like not going to have a rock star next to me and be like, I'm going to call them in 3 days when I land and after I've sent the video. It's like Janny met Kelly Jerkoff on a plane. Sometimes you get one one moment with someone, but usually in the car, I try to get out of it just because I do really want to be duplicative. But trust your intuition on that. Does that make sense? Or the second part is that I do it at the end. Sometimes I get in and we're not really talking. I'm doing other stuff. And at the very end, I'll be like, hey, sorry, I had to respond to a couple emails or something. And I was like, just tell me about you. Why are you driving for Lyft? What do you love about this? What do you not love about this? And before I get dropped off, because when you're getting close, and just saying, well, hey, like, you guys, I tell people I'm a talent scout. I'm a recruiter. I mean, that's what I tell people. I own my own business. I'm always looking for people with amazing skills like you. I would love to tell you more about what I do. I would love to give you some information and see if this is something that you would like to do. I tell people all the time, like, what do you do? And I say, oh my gosh, I was like, I love what I do. And part of it is being a talent scout for people like you. I'm like, I love what I do. And I love being able to recruit people with an amazing skill set that you have. You have great customer service. You have, great attention to detail. You're hardworking. I said, you are exactly what I'm looking for. Like and the people are like, they don't even care what you do anymore. They're just like, oh my gosh, I'm all that. Okay, here's my number. And that's what I tell people all the time. Like I did it 3 times today. I had 3 in-person appointments at coffee, and lunch. No, coffee, lunch, and breakfast today. And at all of them, I did it. Why? I was with somebody else. So I was at lunch with a girl that I met at this networking event, right? And I liked our waitress so much. And even though I was there to be at lunch with somebody else, I was like, if I never see this girl again, I'm going to regret it. And I just said, excuse me for 1 second, but I'm in a business lunch right now. I don't have a ton of time to talk. And I said, but you're amazing. I was like, I see how hard you're working. All of our crazy allergen modifications, you got correct here. And I said, and you're super fun. I said, I'm always looking for new people to partner with. If you would kindly give me your name and number, I'd love to call you later on this week and share a bit about what I do with you. So she dropped off the check with her name and number, right? It took 30 seconds, so it didn't really take away from my purpose of being at the luncheon, but now I have someone else to follow up with. Like you'll literally see this girl. I'm going to introduce her to opportunity. Hey guys, I met her today at lunch. She doesn't really know what we're doing yet, but I wanted to take a look about this. Like that's what I'm doing all the time. Does that make sense? Okay. So Wesley says, if you see someone on Facebook who is a part of blah, 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 how do you? So, and then Carol said, Shakeology. It doesn't matter what company. The main thing that I do when I see someone's in the company, in another network marketing company, is I compliment them and I start asking a lot of questions, right? So let's say that I saw, Wesley, that you were in It Works or something. I might message you and be like, hey, girl, and be like, I saw that you do It Works, right? And I might say something like, that's so awesome. I love network marketing, right? And you'll be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And then I would say, just out of curiosity, because I love connecting with my colleagues, or I love, connecting with people in this profession, what made you choose that company? Did you come for the product or the compensation plan? And I start asking questions. I'm like, well, what do you love? Or, what do you not love? And I say, is it paying you what you're worth? Like, do you have a great team? And then I usually say something like, what? I celebrate this profession. I absolutely celebrate anybody who's chosen to be in network marketing. And I'm so grateful for a variety of companies with a variety of products, because not everything is for everyone. And I say, however, I truly, truly believe we have the most amazing company. We have solutions for everyone. We're a $5 billion company in 15 years. We're number 17 in the Direct Selling Association. We're unwavering in the compensation plan. We have 1,120% more commission payouts than any other company. If you're at all looking for additional income, if you're maybe not in love with these products and looking to try something else, I'd love to share it with you. I'd love to just send you something if you're open to learning about more. Or sometimes I say, I'd love to do business with people that do business with me. Would you want to, maybe send me something about your comp plan or something about your products, and I'll do the same, and we can see how we can support each other. Let's see how we can collaborate. Usually it doesn't take long for people to realize Isagenix is superior, in my opinion, but don't run away from them. Like, don't think like, oh gosh, that person's an Arbonne, they're never going to do this. Because you guys, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Isagenix, but like Isagenix is a goldmine company, and that's why people are coming from Pampered Chef, 31 Bags, from Arbonne. They're coming all the time to Isagenix because of our culture, our integrity, the quality of the products, and the comp plan. Right? But imagine if like no one talked to Lisa DeMayo and Lynn Hagedorn, they're top earners from Arbonne and now they're top earners in Isagenix. Imagine if no one talked to Jay Bennett, he came from Herbalife. Imagine if no one talked to Trudy Maple, she came from Pampered Chef. That just because they're in a company doesn't make them unavailable, right? It just means that you want to be respectful as you approach them. So I'm talking to a couple girls from Unique right now that are in the UK, talking to a whole bunch of people that are in Lip Sense, a couple of those girls in that wine company. And when I'm saying, I love your network marketing, I love this profession. It's so fun to lock arms with your friend. And, you know, I think everybody loves supplemental income. And I said, I love it. It excites me that this profession is growing, right? And I started to ask questions. So what made you choose that? You know, what is it about Lip Sense that got you excited? Like, I can tell you this literally happened this morning, right? I said, if you don't mind me asking, what is it? I said, I just saw that product. I was in a wedding a couple weeks ago. And I laughed, but I said, it burnt the crap out of my lips. And then the more I put on that gloss, my lips got chapped, like more chapped. Like I couldn't wait to get it off. You know, I said, what is it that you love? Like, I'm just curious, you know? And then, of course, if you ask enough questions, inevitably they're going to ask you. And so she said, well, why did you choose your company? And I said, because we're going to be the largest health and wellness company in the world, and I want to be a part of a legacy. And I said, I don't want to insult you, but getting people lip gloss doesn't change lives. And we change lives every single day, physically and financially, and it's amazing to be a part of a movement that's going to spoil the heck out of you, you know, load your bank account beyond belief. And before, like, in addition to that, you're going to get so much gratitude, so much fulfillment from all the people you're impacting. Because once they get these products in their body and once they start getting paid, like, you know, they're never turning back. And I said, I never really saw lipstick as impacting lives. I never saw mascara, Tupperware, bags. I said, it never excited me. And I said, I have a wall full of notes of people that have been impacted by our products. So every single day I'm more motivated to work. Like, you guys can feel my passion. Like, I can feel my energy changing from when I started this call to now, because this is the stuff that excites me. Like, this is like all day long because I want people to have it. But it's true. Like, I mean, my mentor reached out to me a couple weeks ago because people would jump to that wine company. I'm like, why? Like, what? Why? And I don't want to say anything bad. Like, I love this profession. But I was like, I mean, people have got to see the trends, the fads, you know, that there's not a lot of longevity with a lot of these companies, and there's sparkly, shiny objects, but the culture of Isagenix is so unique and so dynamic, and that it's this family-oriented company, but that we really, really are impacting lives. I mean, we have the clinical research at the health level. When you look at the health crises, wine is not fixing that. That doesn't excite me. Bags are not fixing that. Pizza cutters are not, you know, it doesn't excite me. And then even with our other health and wellness companies, which is more of our competition, go to the quality of ingredients and go to the comp plan. You know, I mean, things like Thrive and Lavelle, it's like they're new. They keep changing their executive team. They keep changing the name. I don't want to be in an experimental company, you know? Like, ask them, why did you choose that? Like, are your clients getting great results? Your customers getting great results? Are they thanking you for what you've introduced to their life? Are people having side effects on the products? Like, you know, and I find people when it works, I would say, man, I'm really grateful for the ones it does, because most people I know say it doesn't work. Like, tell me why it does, you know? And then they start to share things with you. So I think that it's amazing. I mean, I think that the fun thing with people that are in companies is just to celebrate where they're coming from, not feel like you have to bash their company, but be rock solid on why Isagenix is so cutting edge, be rock solid on why we're so dynamic. And anyone that doesn't get excited about it is, I mean, they shouldn't be in your business anyways. You know, like, I don't know how they couldn't be, but I just think it starts with edifying it. And don't send typical messages. Like, we've all received them. Like, I can tell when I got a copy paste message through LinkedIn or Facebook when they were messaging their entire list. Some girl just did it to me from Beauty Counter. You know, hi, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but I'm a recent consultant or distributor with Beauty Counter. Da, 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 da. We're known for blah, 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 blah. Here's my link if you want to buy something. I was like, awesome. That was personable. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, I can't wait to never sign up for you. You know, and it's not that I have any issues with Beauty Counter, but it was the way it came about. Where the flip side of that, and we ended up going to coffee, I was reached out by a girl in Rodan Fields. And she said, hey, how are you? You know, this and that. She complimented me on some posts. And she said, I know you're very involved in your company. She's like, I know that you love Isagenix. I know that you love network marketing. And she said, I'm just curious if they have a skincare line. And I said, yes. I said, why do you ask? And she said, well, and she told me her story. And she said, I didn't ever want you to think like I was insulting what you do. I love Isagenix. She's like, I'm just really passionate. In the same way you scream about this from the rooftops, I wanted to introduce you to my business. She was the first Rodan Fields girl I've ever even paid attention to. And it was because of her approach. And so we ended up meeting for coffee and just saying, how can I help you? How can you help me? Like, I liked her business acumen and her sincerity. that we met. So you just kind of never know. And who knows, a year from now, she might be burnt out and want to be looking for something different. You know, maybe something happens with that company, maybe not. Maybe people don't want to lose weight, she refers to me, and people with acne, I refer to her. I mean, you never know where the relationship is going to go from, but people are people, and just ask questions, you know, and don't insult them in the process, but know that we have the gold mine, and you just got to be able to share that. Rachel's texting me, can you say something? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you want me to unmute you? Sorry, Rachel.
Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say that was probably one of the most profound things that I experienced when I went with you on President's Quest, because 4 out of the 8 winners had come over from other companies and now are top of the line in Isagenix. And to just hear one story after another about how hard they were working with very, very little payout or return, how different the culture was, how many of the companies were so like cutthroat, and it's what's in it for me, not this culture of let's help everyone and anyone and work across lines, down lines, up lines, whatever, like that one team mentality. And every single one of them says, do not be afraid to talk to other people. And I love everything that you're saying, Lauren, about how to approach them, but really in your gut to just know that you, again, have something to offer someone when they don't know any different. They already love the profession. They already love the industry, which is a win to begin with, because often we're putting up, you know, the battles or trying to overcome people that aren't even open to network marketing. At least you've got someone there. And then, like you said, if you ask the right questions and they see that there's just even a better way, it's just always been something that was, I think, really stuck in my mind after going on that trip.
I'm so glad you said that, Rach. And actually, coming back from Top Achievers this year, one of the girls that was on President's Quest that Rachel and I became really good friends with, I ended up asking her if she would do a call, and I'm going to do a call with her. Her name is Carla. She came from Mary Kay. Trudy Maples, who came from Pampered Chef, and Erica Fetterhoff, who came from Tastefully Simple. And I'm talking about not just the differences in the comp plan, but the differences of the culture, the integrity, you know, like how much labor went into that with all these parties and lugging all this product and fairs. And, you know, I mean, all of them have made more in a month with Isagenix than their cumulative careers with other companies. And that stuff is just really powerful. And even though it's not about the money, it definitely is about what you can do with the money. And Rachel, I'm so glad you said that. So just, I mean, definitely know that. And I mean, if you were in, you know, I don't know, another company and someone was in Isagenix and they didn't reach out to you because they were like, oh, well, Kristen already does Herbalife. She's never going to want to do this. I mean, just imagine. And what the other thing too is sometimes I feel like sometimes people put them on their do not call list because they're in another company. But just imagine if they showed up, like all of a sudden you see them get welcome into testimonials, or if you guys get welcome to Opportunity or Cleansers, like, hey, I just brought, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was my friend, and you were too chicken to call them, because that happens. Like, you guys, one of my good friends who's in another team, she hates the phone. She's very shy, and she's very involved in our group because we're good friends, even though she's not financially linked to us. She tells me all the time, she's like, someone on your team is constantly enrolling people from people on my list that she doesn't reach out to. She's like, so-and-so just enrolled them, so-and-so, you know, she would do my blueprints and was like sharing about people she wanted to reach out to and just didn't. So I believe at the end of the day, all these people are going to come to Isagenix. It's like, who's going to tell them, you know, you or somebody else. So you guys, thank you for hopping on. That is right at 7 o'clock, and I'm going to be respectful of your time. But Laura, Rach, thank you for chiming in, and Wesley and Marla and Kristen, you know, Carol, thank you guys for your great questions. I'll get this recording up, and stay tuned just to more login and learns. I'm going to try and do 1 or 2 a week, just popping up at different times and different topics to just help you and your team outside of our regular Tuesday night team training call. So if you see them, you know, hop on, grow, learn, tag your teams, send your team, you know, whatever it may be, so that we can just get everybody growing and learning. Love you guys. Good night. Thank you.
You're amazing. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Bye, girl. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.